Hey guys, this is Avantis, and in today's video I am going to do the D&D Tag by Ginny. Roll the intro. So if you don't know, Ginny, who has a channel here on YouTube about D&D stuff and cosplay sometimes and just RPG tips and stuff in general, lately I really started to enjoy her content, and I was really I just wanted to try this D&D tag thing, because why not? It's fun to answer questions. So I'm gonna link her and Mark Holmes' video in the description or somewhere for you to check it out and maybe to do it yourself. So, first question, what was your first D&D character? So, if we strictly stick to D&D, I think my first D&D character was Fényeskő Iritil Risvin, who is, Fényeskő means something like shining stone or something in English, and she's like this kind of, I guess, cliche character, like she's a wood elf who was brought up by dwarves, and so she really has this, like dwarvish personality and stuff. But so as for me, I rather consider my first TTRPG character like my first character, because I remember that after creating my first character, I somehow knew, like I just learned how to, create characters and how to put together a character sheet and what stuff to read and to what I can decide and stuff. So the creation of my other characters just weren't that unique of an experience. But my first ever TTRPG character was Ambrosia. He's an elf bard in another setting, and I remember that I just met the party that I was going to play with, or at least the dungeon master and his girlfriend and another guy from the party, and like we went to this pub and we ordered some drinks, and they were telling me how to, create my character. We rolled the DM bought me my first ever dice, and so it was just such a unique experience for me that is what I would rather consider, my first ever character, even though it was in D&D. Okay, next question. Which D&D class is your least favorite to play, or do you not want to play? The thing is that even though I think my most played classes in not just in D&D but in any RPG in general are either spellcasters or rogues, or some sort of either charismatic or edgy characters. It sometimes depends, but yeah, I think most of my RPG characters, 2 out of 5 are bards, or some sort of charismatic spellcaster or something. But the thing is, I also have this tendency that I want to try as many classes as I can, because right now I'm playing a sorcerer, but sometimes if that other campaign comes up, I play a bard, and I already know their skill set and I want to try something new. So yeah, it's really hard to say which class is my least favorite, because I can imagine playing anything. But after a bit of thought, I think monk is the class that I think I would least want to play, because to me monks are, is Shaolin warriors or martial art fighters or something, and like I really have to come up with a unique idea to play a monk character. I'm not saying that I will never play one. I'm just saying that right now I can't imagine playing a monk character that I want to play. Yeah, I think yeah. What spell? Sorry. What D&D spell would you most want to have in real life? This one again caused me some thinking and some research. The thing is that my favorite spells in D&D are usually like offensive spells, like Eldritch Blast and like Chaos Bolt. Yeah, that one I use a lot, but I definitely don't want to use those in real life. So after a lot of thought, maybe it's not the best spell that you can have in real life, but Locate Object would be the spell that I would definitely have, because I'm just having such a hard time finding like specific items in my house or my apartment or whatever this is. Also, now I just I live in my own apartment, but I spend a lot of time in my parents' apartment, which is like just not even a block from each other. So there are a lot of times when I can't find something and I don't know even which apartment it is in. So yeah, so Locate Object is my answer, because I just really hate it when I'm looking for something for like a few hours and I still can't find it, and I'm like damn, I need like either a Google search on my own house to see where it is, or the Locate Object spell. What's your favorite D&D monster? This one gave me a lot of time to think as well, because I was thinking about monsters that we fought in any of our campaigns, and like there wasn't really one that really stood out to me, or maybe to us as a party. Like sure, my ranger had their favorite enemies or whatever, but that wasn't really the thing. Maybe if I really wanted, I would pick dragons, but then I found something that tickles my fancy way more. I think my favorite monster are riders, because first of all, drow are like my favorite sort of elves, because you know they are dark and edgy and powerful, and I'm just really interested in them, and I read a lot of books on them. But you know, drow in themselves are not like, they are not the bunch of monsters I would like to fight. But the other thing is that riders to me are like really aesthetic, because I also find spiders really aesthetic. Guess that's partly why I like drow as well. So yeah, I would say Drider is my favorite monster. What's your favorite NPC/villain that you've encountered/created? Okay, let's pick one and not ramble a lot. I think it's Renvik Karadul. Maybe this will be a little of spoiler for the Princes of the Apocalypse Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. So Renvik Karadul is a lich, but he is a good guy. And I remember that when we arrived at the place that, you know, he resides in, the other people around, who were cultists, by the way, told us that, you know, there is something living next door who you shouldn't bother. And our druid went around scouting and as like a spider or something, and he saw that there's a lich guy next door, and after like a very intense battle that we just barely won, we wasn't even winning when our enlarged druid, again, he's doing a lot of stuff in our campaign, but our enlarged druid just shouted to the lich to come out and to stop the monster that we were fighting, because if we can't stop it, then it will find the lich eventually and bother him as well. And when the lich showed up, so when Renwick showed up, he turned out to be like a pretty chill guy, and we even talked to him, and like our druid promised to bring like a treat for him to, you know, water and be his friend, because, you know, druids have this some sort of magic that can make like trees sentient or something. And even my character, my sorcerer Hart, like had a chat with him about like wild magic, and asked him about the runes that he had imprinted on his back. So yeah, Koradul is a great guy. We might visit him one day. Alright. Next question. Sorry. Next question is an interesting one. Has one of your characters ever died, and what killed them? So yeah, none of my characters died yet. I hope they never will, or they will just live a happy life eventually. But also the funny thing in this question is that we started one of the campaigns as we later discovered that our characters were already dead and they were resurrected. So Hartalius, the sorcerer I'm playing right now, had a life previously where he looked pretty different and stuff, and so in that sense, yes, he died, but he didn't die like during the campaign. Also, I was thinking that if Hart ever died, he, in his backstory, he has like a lover, or, well, it's complicated, but he has this guy he really likes named Lorcan, who is this like really hot but also shy, like albino, I don't know how you say it, high elf. And after Hart died, he was resurrected looking like Lorcan, his lover. So I was thinking that if Hart ever died, I would ask our dungeon master if he would let me play as Lorcan, because even though they look the same, they have such a different personality, and it would be just, you know, like a really organic or like interesting continuation to the campaign if, you know, Lorcan showed up looking for his lost love, who he describes looking completely different than what the other characters know. So also, if you were interested in Hart's story, I made a comic about the beginning of our adventures, which I am continuing. So I'm making this continual short series about Hart and our party's adventures. So if you like that, I will leave a link in the description or somewhere. Next question. What's your best natural 20 story? The thing is that I don't really remember like big things that you know, a natural 20 caused. Most of my natural 20 like memories I have are these like small, like somewhat funny things. Like one time we found an immovable rod, and my character Hart, who is still a sorcerer with the strength modifier of 0, and I was like, okay, Hart will try to, do as many pull-ups on the immovable rod as possible, and I rolled a natural 20, and the funny thing is that we have in the party a fighter, and sometimes he coaches Hart how to work out, and it was just funny that the workouts finally paid off. Hart can do 100 pull-ups on the immovable rod. I think that is the funniest thing that came to mind. What's your best natural one story? So the funny thing is about natural ones, I don't know if these count, but as a wild sorcerer, natural ones are always funny. So Hart, anytime he casts a spell, if you don't know what wild sorcerer is, Hart, every time he casts a spell, he has to roll I have to roll a d20, and if I roll a 1, then some funny thing will happen. I will have to roll again with a d100 and see what comes up from the wild magic search table, and I deliberately didn't read the options so that I will be surprised every time. And funny things happen when you have a wild sorcerer a wild magic sorcerer in your group. One time we were in this little cave or something. It was an abandoned workshop underground or something, and we were fighting I think this mini boss, and I don't know if they were henchmen or robots or something. I think they were animated no, they were animated suits of armor and animated objects like swords and shields and stuff. And I rolled Hart again cast some magic, and I rolled a 1, and suddenly I turned everyone in the room invisible. So that was a very funny fight. Also, one time we were it kind of ties to the Renvi Karadun story. So we were fighting every cultist in this one monastery, and there were also gargoyles, and an Umber Hulk showed up and stuff like that, and sorry, he again rolled a 1, and then I rolled on the wild magic search table, and turned out that Hart managed to cast a fireball centered on himself, so in the explosion he hurt himself. He hurt the NPC that was helping us, who stood right next to him, and also he hurt our fighter, but he survived because he succeeded on his save. And the fun thing that the radius wasn't big enough, so fireball is devastating in itself, but it didn't reach the boss we were fighting, and I was so mad at it. Also one time, Hart, I talk a lot about Hart, sorry, but Hart is this very fancy guy who has a very high ego, and one time my roll caused his hair to fall out, which to him was a critical hit, and then he was knocked out as well, and he didn't care about this halberd or something that was was protruding out of his chest. Like, who cares? His hair has fallen out, and this is, I guess, why I love Wild Magic Surge, and I guess this is my best, or these are my best Natural One stories. Next question. What's the highest level you've ever played a character to? Well, my first ever character, Ambrosia, is, I think, around level 10 or something, although he started in this campaign like later on, so everyone else was like very high level, and now he is starting to come up in level to be like equal to everybody else. But in D&D, I think Heart is level 6, so, and I think I think that is the highest, or maybe Riswin is level 7 or something, but like 6 or 7, which I mean is, I guess, okay for like a campaign which we started, I think, last year. I really want to, advance the level, because Heart is also multi-classing, and like I want to reach higher levels now. Alright, what's your favorite magical item? I think my favorite magical item, without doubt, is Uncommon Glimmer Weave. If you don't know, this is a sort of like fabric that the wearer can change its like colors and patterns. I think either as a bonus action or just with a thought or something. And the bonus thing with Uncommon Glimmer Weave is that it also like makes the patterns pop out sometimes if you are like making a persuasion check, and you can have a bonus to it. But like, it's not really the bonus why I love it. It's because Heart, again, he's like, modern slang or whatever. He's like this stylish fashion guru who, like in D&D, he's like he was in his previous life a tailor, and like his family has like this tailoring business, and he cares a lot about fashion and stuff. And immediately as we found some Glimmer Weave, everybody was just like, yeah, like, Heart, this is yours, because you are the tailor in the group and you care about clothes the most. So then I was really happy when we got it, and like I remember I was like on Pinterest for like hours trying to search for the best like robes that Heart could make for himself from the Glimmer Weave, because we didn't have a lot. I think from the uncommon one we only had like enough fabric that would that would be enough for one set of clothing. So I was like, I have only one of this, and I'm going to make the best damn outfit for Heart from it, and I did. Next question. If you had an IRL alignment, what would it be? So I believe I would like to believe that I'm a chaotic good person. Because, the thing is, I know there are rules, like in society and everywhere. But also, I'm having a really hard time to obey to rules that I think are stupid or useless or stuff. Also, it's the same in school. Like, if we had a teacher who I saw, who I didn't like, then I didn't want to, study for the whole lesson and stuff. And like, I have this thing, like, also I'm a very selfish person. I'm trying not to be, but I have this thing that I guess I still don't have a proper job, and I still chose to go to school because I don't want to do a job that is, to me, is pointless. So just because my boss tells me to do something, if I see that it's pointless, then I'm having a very hard time to do a good job at it. And yeah, so maybe I don't want to, reform the rules or something, but even now I'm learning how to drive, and I just can't wrap my head around why, the speed limit in like most towns are 50 kilometer per hour, because I'm like, why isn't it 40? Why isn't it 60? Why does it have to be 50? And just little things like that. Maybe if that is the most chaotic thing that I can say about myself, then I maybe leaning towards like just a neutral good. Maybe the thing about alignment is that, as Matthew Colville said, it's not really the important thing when it comes to, RPG, so whatever. Tell me I'm not chaotic good. The next question. If you had to date one of your characters, which one would you pick? The funny thing is that my favorite ever character that I created for an RPG is Hart, but one thing, he is gay. His story pretty much revolves around finding his like lost lover, and so also he has this like very distinct personality that I'm not sure I could live with. I would say the thing is that I have some more characters who I didn't really mention throughout this video, but like I have a drow bard who also has a very distinct personality, and he's also like leaning a bit towards the evil side. So to make things short, I think I would date Ambrosia, because he is the sort of bard who is like, who believes there is like love, and like whenever he picks a girl, like he had this one girl he really liked, he couldn't marry, and whenever he, even though I'm not really that type, but anyway, if he would pick me as his lover, then I would be very honored, because when he falls in love, then he just does anything and everything to make that person happy, and he would just, I don't know, buy me some tea and like some nice accessories or clothes, and also he would just sing how beautiful I am and stuff like that, and he's like this really romantic guy. Also he has like a flying carpet, so I would go on a ride with him on a flying carpet like anytime. So yeah, I think I would date Ambrosia. So is there a character you want to play but haven't had the chance to play yet? Oh god, like I have so many ideas for characters you can't even. I hope that one day we will finish some of the campaigns we started, and finally I will have the chance to play another character. So yeah, I have loads of them, like they are in like this waiting line or something, imaginary waiting line. Also I'm leaning towards tieflings a lot lately, because one, I started watching Critical Role Season 2, and Mollymauk is, no spoilers, but Mollymauk is like my aesthetic. Like he is, I just love him. And also I played like, I think exclusively elves for my past 5 characters, so yeah, I want to play something else now. And yeah, I have this idea of this like spore circle druid tiefling who has antlers instead of, like just regular horns, if they were regular. And also I have this character idea of like a blood hunter, Aasimar guy. I think his backstory idea is like what I was thinking like most about. Also, I've been reading recently the Malus Darkblade series, which is, Warhammer, but anyway, and I'm kind of falling in love with this idea of like an elf or some sort of, half-elf bastard or some sort of character like that who would be like a warlock, and his patron would live like inside him, not even in his weapon, like inside him, in his head or something. And like that is obviously with some tweaks that it is not directly a Malus Darkblade copy, but just the idea of something like this, or even like a tiefling with a patron like that, would be something that I would really like to discover what it's like playing a character like that. Also, I think I posted like one throughout one of my Inktober's or something about this tiefling cleric guy who is like all floofy, and he has like a singular horn, so like a unicorn or something. And yeah, I'm kind of interested in him, although he would be such a like goody two shoes with like a skeleton in the closet type of situation. Like, yeah, like as you see, I have like a lot of character ideas, and yeah, I would really love to play them one day. Are you a dice goblin or a dice minimalist? So, like, in theory, I'm a dice goblin. Like, I'm very much a dice goblin. In reality, I have like a few set of dice. Like, it fits in like a relatively small box. But like, I asked for my first ever metal dice set for Christmas, and like, I would love to buy more dice, but also I'm like very greedy with money, so I saw like this beautiful set the other day, but it was like $70 for a set of dice, and I'm like, yeah, they are pretty, but I don't want to pay that much for a set of dice. So if we look like with a very practical eye on them, usually my group, especially now, during the pandemic and whatever, but even before, we mostly played online, and so dice in a lot of sense is like pretty useless, but they are so pretty. I just want a lot of them. I want them. Okay, last but not least question. What rule or mechanic have you never quite wrapped your brain around? So I would say that most of the rules make sense to me, like even if I have to, sometimes look stuff up, like usually they are, I know, like somewhat easy to understand. Yeah, I don't really have like something or some rule that I completely don't understand, but what I find myself looking up the most is, for example, for the sorcerer's meta magic, and I think it's the same goes for, I think, hunter's prey for ranger, is that why I always have to look them up is because I can never really remember, which one I can use on like certain spells. Like there's, I think, twin spell, which have to be I can only use it on a spell that can target only one creature, but also like Hart has this feat that no, not feat, talent. It's, I think, a homebrew thing. So he has this talent that he can concentrate on 2 concentrational spells at a time, and I was, I have to look it up and ask the DM like most of the times that can I use it on like Hex, which is a concentration spell, but I can concentrate on 2 things, so why not? I have to check it a lot of times. Also, I think most of the magic spells are what like they are hard to remember, which one has like which component, or or like what is their range and stuff, and what exact effects they have. So I think those are the things that I understand them on like a general level, but I have to go into detail to really know which one I want to use. And yeah, I think that's my answer for that. So I guess these were all of the questions from the D&D Tag. I really enjoyed doing this, and even just seeing Ginny's and Mark's video, I really wanted to try it myself, because the problem with me is that I could go on and on about like a lot of D&D stuff. So also questions like this organize, I think, my videos a little more, because usually I just ramble on. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, but in the background, the drawing or the footage I chose is a character of mine. I think it was just a little after I created Ambrosia and joined that campaign. So I talked to this DM. It's really just for the credits, I guess, this monologue. So I was talking to a handful of DMs if I could play with them, and one guy he said that they are going to do a D&D campaign, and I created this. I don't know if he was an elf or a half elf, I don't remember, but this elf warlock who I chose a fat blackbird as the familiar for. Even though I think he didn't really know the exact rules for Warlock, because he said he never made one or never created one. So now I know that some of the stuff he said was wrong. Anyway, so I designed this character, this elf warlock, and the funny thing is that this was like 2 or 3 years ago, and now looking back at this footage, the design, not really the clothing, because Hart would wear something different, but the face and the hair is like very similar for what I imagined for Hartalius to look like in his previous life, and which is funny because the idea for that, I completely forgot about this character on the footage, but the idea for Hart came from Howl, from Howl's Moving Castle, and yeah, it's just fun to see that I created a very similar character like 3 years ago or something. So yeah, thank you for watching. And again, if you would like some of my comics or zines in PDF, then check out the description down below. And otherwise, have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.